The air conditioning in my parents' living room hummed with a low, persistent drone, the only sound in a silence so thick it felt like a physical presence. It was a Tuesday evening in late July, the kind of humid Ohio dusk where the light seems to bleed into the sky rather than fade. I was on the worn corduroy couch, scrolling mindlessly through my phone, waiting for my older brother, Mark, to arrive. My younger sister, Chloe, was curled in our dad's recliner, tapping out a text with a focused intensity that made me nervous. We were both home for the summer, me from my junior year at State College, Chloe from her freshman year at a liberal arts school out east. Mark, at 28, was a permanent resident of the city, a mid-level manager at a logistics firm who carried an air of weary adulthood we both still aspired to. The plan was innocuous: order pizza, maybe watch a bad movie, a low-key sibling hang to break up the monotony of days spent in our childhood home. Our parents were up north at their lake cabin for the week, leaving us the quiet, slightly stale-smelling house and a fridge full of condiments. When Mark's key turned in the lock, the normalcy of the sound was a comfort. He came in, dropping his keys on the side table with a familiar clatter. He looked tired, his dress shirt wrinkled, his tie loosened. "Hey, losers," he said, his standard greeting. He attempted a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Speak for yourself, corporate drone," Chloe shot back, but her usual sass was muted. We ordered the pizza, half pepperoni, half supreme, a long-standing treaty, and the three of us fell into the easy, familiar rhythm of shared history. We argued about the movie, settled on a forgettable action film, and ate straight from the box. It felt good, normal. For the first hour, we were just the Miller kids again, the years and distances between us collapsing in the shared space of our childhood home. The shift was subtle, almost imperceptible at first. It started with Mark's phone. It buzzed, face down on the coffee table, with a persistence that felt aggressive. He'd glance at it, his thumb hovering, then flip it back over without responding. The third time it happened, Chloe paused the movie. "Dude, just answer it. It's probably Jessica." Jessica was Mark's wife of 3 years. Sweet, kind Jessica who baked us birthday cakes and always remembered our favorite snacks. "It's not," Mark said, too quickly. A faint pink tinge crept up his neck. "It's just work. Ignore it." But the atmosphere in the room had changed. The easy comfort evaporated, replaced by a low-grade static of tension. Chloe and I exchanged a glance, a silent sibling communication that bypassed words. "Something's off." The phone buzzed again. This time, Mark snatched it up, his jaw tight. "I gotta take this," he muttered, and retreated to the kitchen. Chloe muted the TV. We weren't trying to eavesdrop, but the house was small, and his voice, though hushed, carried. "Dart, I told you, not now. I'm with them. I don't know. Later, maybe." The sentences were fragments, but the tone was unmistakable, a strained, intimate urgency that was entirely wrong. This wasn't a work call. Chloe's eyes were wide, locked on mine. I felt a cold knot form in my stomach. Mark returned, his face a careful mask of neutrality. "Sorry, supply chain issues. Never ends." He picked up a cold slice of pizza, took a bite, and stared blankly at the frozen explosion on the screen. Chloe, never one for subtlety, leaned forward. "Mark, who was that?" I said. "Work. Bull," she said softly. "You're a terrible liar. You always have been. You get that red patch on your neck." He touched his neck instinctively, then dropped his hand, the motion an admission of guilt. The mask cracked, revealing a profound weariness, and something else, a guilt so heavy it seemed to bend his shoulders. He looked from Chloe's defiant face to my apprehensive one. The hum of the AC felt deafening. "It's complicated," he began, his voice gravelly. "Try us," Chloe said. Her voice wasn't angry yet, just dangerously calm. He sank into the armchair opposite us, running his hands through his hair. He looked, for a moment, like the teenage brother who'd crashed the family car, not the confident man we'd watched get married. "Her name is Lacey," he said finally, the name dropping into the quiet room like a stone into a still pond. The confession that tumbled out was a cliché that felt anything but ordinary hearing it from my brother's mouth. The loneliness of business travel, the happy hours that bled into something more, the feeling of being seen in a way he claimed he hadn't felt in years. It was a 6-month affair with a colleague from the Phoenix office. He spoke in corporate jargon at times, a connection that filled a strategic void, an emotional merger, as if couching it in business terms could sanitize it. Chloe was statue still. I felt paralyzed, my mind racing. Jessica's face floated in my memory, her beaming smile at their wedding, her patient kindness when she'd helped me with my college applications, the way she looked at Mark like he hung the moon. "Does Jessica know?" I heard myself ask, my voice foreign to my own ears. No, he whispered. And she can't. You can't tell her. Either of you. You can't. That's when Chloe exploded. You can't be serious. She launched herself out of the recliner, pacing the worn carpet. You drag us into this mess. You drop this bomb on us, and your first thought is to swear us to secrecy, to make us complicit. What about Jessica, Mark? What about your wife? You don't understand. He shot back, standing to face her. My marriage, my life. It's not as simple as you think. It seems pretty simple from here, she shouted. You made a vow. You live in the house she decorated. You eat the food she cooks. And you're merging with some Lacey from Phoenix. She spat the name like it was poison. I sat between them, the couch a neutral no man's land. I was the middle child, the peacemaker by habit, but there was no mediating this. This was a fault line cracking open right in our parents' living room. Why? I asked, my voice quieter than theirs. Why tell us, Mark? He looked at me, his anger deflating into something desperate and pathetic. Because I'm drowning, he said, his voice breaking. And I don't know what to do. I thought maybe you'd understand, that you could help me figure it out. Help you? Chloe laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. You want us to help you cheat better, or help you break Jessica's heart strategically? You're our brother, and we love you, but this is sick. The argument raged for what felt like hours, cycling through phases. Anger, Chloe calling him a coward, a liar, a cliché. Pleading, Mark begging for understanding, for time to sort it out. Logic, my feeble attempts to dissect the why, to understand the calculus that made betrayal seem like a viable option. Grief, moments of awful silence where we all just stared at each other, realizing the family dynamic we knew was irrevocably shattered. We weren't just his siblings anymore. We were judges, jurors, reluctant confessors, and trapped custodians of a secret that felt like a ticking bomb. You have to end it, Chloe stated finally, arms crossed. Today, now. You call that woman and you end it, and you go home and you beg Jessica for forgiveness, and you go to marriage counseling, and you fix this. You think it's that easy? Mark challenged. I think it's that necessary, she fired back. He looked at me, seeking an ally. Ben, what would you do? The weight of the question crushed me. This wasn't a hypothetical about a friend or a character in a movie. This was my brother, whose shoulder I'd cried on after my first bad breakup, who'd taught me to throw a football. And it was Jessica, who felt like a sister in every way that mattered. Chloe's right, I said, the words tasting like ash. You have to end the affair. But, telling Jessica, I don't know, man. That's a devastation. You need to figure out if you're ending it to save your marriage, or just to hide your tracks. If you want any chance with her, it has to be the first one, and you have to be the one to tell her, not us. And not because you got caught. He sank back down, head in his hands. I don't know if I can. The rest of the night passed in a miserable, exhausted haze. The pizza congealed in its box. The movie played to an empty room. We were three islands, marooned in a sea of ugly truth. We spoke in fragments, circling the same agonizing points. At one point, Chloe started crying, not noisy sobs, but silent tears of rage and disappointment that tracked through her mascara. I wanted to comfort her, but I was numb, locked in my own prison of moral confusion. Mark left just before midnight. The goodbye was stiff, a hollow echo of our usual farewells. Don't say anything, was the last thing he muttered, avoiding our eyes. The door closed behind him. Chloe and I stood in the sudden, ringing silence of the living room. The artifacts of our normal evening, the pizza box, the empty soda cans, the throw blankets, looked like exhibits in a museum of a past life. What do we do? Chloe whispered, all her fire extinguished, leaving only a scared young woman. I don't know, I admitted. The ethical dilemma was a labyrinth. Telling Jessica felt like a moral imperative. She deserved the truth. But was it our truth to tell? Would it be an act of righteousness, or just a way to offload our own crushing discomfort onto her, potentially destroying her world in the process? Staying silent made us accomplices, forcing us to smile at Jessica during family gatherings, to live a lie alongside him. It would poison every future interaction. We talked until the sun began to tinge the sky gray. We dissected our brother's character, our loyalty to him versus our loyalty to what was right. We imagined scenarios, each more painful than the last. We cried, not for Mark, but for Jessica, for the broken trust, for the loss of our own innocence about our family. In the days that followed, the secret lived with us like a malevolent ghost. It was in every text notification, every family group chat that included Jessica. It was there at the grocery store when Chloe pointed out Jessica's favorite yogurt. It was there in the quiet of our rooms, making it impossible to sleep. We avoided Mark. He avoided us. A planned dinner with Jessica the following weekend was cancelled by Mark with a flimsy excuse about a work deadline. The tension was a wall we couldn't scale. A week after the confession, Chloe came into my room. Her face was set, resolute. "I can't carry this, Ben. It's eating me alive. It's wrong. We have to give him an ultimatum." He tells Jessica, with a plan to rebuild, therapy, transparency, the whole thing, or we walk away from him. And if he won't, then we have to tell her. We have to. I knew she was right. The weight of complicity was corrosive. Our love for Mark was real, but it couldn't mean endorsing his betrayal of an innocent person. It couldn't mean sacrificing our own integrity on the altar of family loyalty. We called Mark. We met at a bland, anonymous chain restaurant, a place with no memories. We laid it out, our voices trembling but clear. "You have 2 weeks. You end it with Lacey, completely. You confess to Jessica, and you show us a receipt for a marriage counseling appointment, or we will be forced to distance ourselves from you, and we will not lie for you." He was angry at first, calling us self-righteous, naive, claiming we were destroying the family. But we held firm. We were no longer the kid siblings he could patronize. We were the guardians of a line he had crossed. The 2 weeks were agony. The silence from him was absolute. The day of the deadline arrived, a stiflingly hot August morning. Chloe and sat in the living room again, the scene of the original crime. We didn't speak. At 11 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from Mark. It was a screenshot of a confirmed appointment for a marriage counselor, dated for the following Tuesday. Beneath it, another text. "I ended it with Lacey. I'm telling Jess tonight. It's going to destroy her. I don't expect you to ever forgive me, but thank you for not letting me destroy myself completely." Chloe read it over my shoulder. We didn't celebrate. There was no victory. Only a profound, aching sadness for the pain that was to come. The fallout was, as predicted, devastating. Jessica was shattered. She moved out temporarily. The family was thrown into crisis. Our parents were heartbroken and furious, struggling to reconcile the son they knew with the man who had caused such pain. Through it all, Chloe and I were a united front. We supported Jessica without vilifying Mark, a difficult, delicate balance. We made it clear to him that our relationship was damaged, perhaps permanently, but that we acknowledged his effort to face the consequences. It's been a year now. The dust hasn't settled so much as it has found a new, uneven arrangement. Mark and Jessica are in counseling. It's a long, hard road, and no one knows if they'll make it. Sometimes, when I see them together, the distance between them feels like a canyon. Other times, I see a flicker of the old affection, now tempered by a brutal, hard-won honesty. Chloe and I are closer than ever, bound by the trauma of that shared secret. We talk about it sometimes, about that night we were alone in the room with our brother and the truth. We talk about the awful burden, the impossible choice, and the lesson seared into our souls, that love isn't just a feeling, it's a series of actions, a daily choice to honor your commitments, and that sometimes, loving someone means holding them accountable for the worst thing they've ever done, even if it breaks your heart to do it. The living room no longer feels the same. The hum of the AC is just a sound now, not a portent. But every time the three of us are in that room together, I feel the echo of that night. We are not just siblings. We are people who have seen each other's darkest capacity for weakness and for strength, and we are forever changed by what we had to hold, alone in that room, together.